Welcome to another installment of Test Chamber. I'm Matt Miller. I am joined by Daniel Tack.
How's it going?
I'm doing well. I'm excited about the game we've got in front of us here, Elder Scrolls Online. This is the first day of public release, although you and I have both been playing a little bit in early access for the last couple of days, and you especially have been playing a lot. And I'm eager to hear a little bit more about what your impressions are, even as we see here you're getting ready to go into a 4-person dungeon with a couple of with a pickup group that you have joined up with here.
That's right. We're about to do one of the 4-man dungeons. So this is a standard dungeon.
And what level are you at this point?
This is a level 20 to 23 dungeon.
Okay, so
this is second tier.
You're up here a good ways. It takes a little while to get to the tier that you'd even be able to do this dungeon, right?
Sure. This is sort of the second tier of standard 4-man dungeons.
And the others open up kind of around level 10?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I have my own thoughts about the bits I've played of the game. I'm about level 8, 9 right now, so I've only played a few hours. But I'm curious about your thoughts about where this fits as in that interesting space between being a traditional MMO and being an Elder Scrolls game. I mean, Elder Scrolls has a very distinct feel, a very distinct kind of look to it. Even there's a way that Elder Scrolls missions kind of feel. And I'm curious what your experience has been so far.
Sure, and I think you do find that experience in the public and solo dungeons. Here is more of a traditional MMO experience, but definitely a little distinctly different at the same time. So we have distinct roles. There's a healer in this group. I'm the tank, and a couple of DPS. But you'll see very shortly that the roles do not play out that way. These pulls are very large. These are like 10-man pulls, and I'm not going to be able to tank everything. There's not going to be enough healing, and everyone kind of does their own thing really well if you want success. So here we go.
I'm ready. I'm going to try not to bother you too much.
We're still targeting the healer first. So as a tank here, I'm going to pick up as many of these as I can, while at the same time shielding my party with my skills. I have a lot of buffs.
Right.
So I'm going to shield them, and I'm going to hit R right now, which is my ultimate ability. This gives me a flame shield that does lots of damage to things around me, and it also lets my allies hit X. And then, as you see this magma shield around my ally there,
yeah,
he pulled that off of my ultimate, so it gives him my shield, which is extremely powerful. So you can't possibly tank all the stuff from these pulls. So.
Sure. Well, that seemed to go pretty well.
It did. I'm actually pretty excited about this group now. That was pretty smooth. Sometimes you have to really talk people into targeting the healer first, which is still, always going to be a thing.
Right. Well, the stuff we're looking at right here feels pretty much like an MMO. Tell me, outside of the dungeons, is it also still feeling a lot like an MMO, or you think people who have more experience playing games like Oblivion and Skyrim have something to look forward to?
They do. It's sort of interesting. In some ways, this feels like it's two different games. Like the single-player experience and the MMO experience sort of feel very, very different from each other and not always interconnected.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have to say that even the few levels in that I am at, I'm a little bit disconcerted when I go into like a solo area, like an underground cave or a ruin or something like that, and all of a sudden I see all these other players who are camping like the boss of the little ruin that I'm in, just waiting to get the XP or the loot from killing them. It does feel a little bit weird to coming off of a game like Skyrim, where you were the lonely hero wandering through the world, the only hero that really existed in that world, right?
It's true, and it does feel a little disjointed, but it's not altogether like unsatisfactory. They're unique, different experiences, sort of coexisting together is the best way I can explain it.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about it looks like you are rocking a Dragon Knight here. Is that right?
That's right. That's the I am. I am one of the 3 trees is earthish kind of stuff. So I get lots of buffs to buff my team, buff myself. Basically, I can put shields on my allies. I can do lots of stuns. I can give myself armor. I'm basically a support tank, and I've chosen to go more of an archetypal build. I've got heavy armor, sword and board. So when we get to a boss here, you'll see me blocking quite a bit with my shield, which is a function. So like I'll block like this, and it'll drain my stam. And for big boss attacks, that's the only way you're going to survive.
Okay.
And we're coming up to one soon. These dungeons are kind of short. Somewhat between 20 and 30 minutes, depending on your group. This looks really solid. So Generally, there's not that much trash in these dungeons. This is this dungeon has a lot of front load trash, so we're gonna clear up all the trash here shortly, and then we'll be on a boss after boss after boss.
So it gets you to bosses pretty quick.
Yeah, most of them are really, really intense, just about getting you to bosses and fighting bosses. And
awesome.
Skill testing you that way.
Well, tell me a little bit, for people who have not played the game yet, you're, like we said, you're playing one of the Dragon Knights, who's the kind of more traditional sort of like warrior character. What are the other options if somebody's going to be hopping into Elder Scrolls Online for the first time this weekend?
You know, the thing about the classes is they don't really pigeonhole you into anything.
Yeah.
They're just going to give you a couple of skill lines, but you can pick from a huge assortment of skill lines, and you actually unlock more skill lines as you play the game. So if players want to do the whole vampire or werewolf thing, you know, that they may be fond of from Skyrim, they can find those out in the world and work up those as well.
Very cool. And it did when I did character creation, it does have kind of the full lineup of character races from the Elder Scrolls games, which, you know, I think probably some people, especially people who were really invested in Morrowind or Oblivion or Skyrim, they maybe have an attachment to being able to play a Dark Elf or a Breton or any number of different races. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel, the race that you choose, unless you get the Imperial Edition, it's sort of bound to like the alliance that you join?
You're correct. There are 3 different major alliances in the game that are basically, they'll determine where you start the game and where you play in the first areas.
Yeah.
And a lot of other things, including your PvP alliance. So it does
and the
matter.
races that you choose. There's like 3
exactly.
races for each.
Absolutely.
But the more expensive edition of the game, of course, gives you the option to be able to like hop in and play as any race.
As any race, including the Imperial, which is what this character is.
Right.
So here's the first boss. So I've taunted it, so I do have quote-unquote aggro, but this fight is not like
a traditional MMO
right.
fight.
So here, see, even I have to dodge this. This is sort of a whirlwind kind of thing. The red
right.
indicator. She's going to come at me with a big attack here that I'm going to block. I've done this fight before, so I do know her moves. Which
It does seem like
very
maybe
helpful.
you have a little bit of a sense of what you're doing here.
Only a little.
So this is, you said this is in the second tier of dungeons. So
Sure.
There's, how many dungeons are in the first tier of that,
There are
kind of like 10 through 20?
3 dungeons available, 1 for each alliance, and you basically port to the other people's zone to do them.
Got
So
it.
it's,
But so you can do all 3 of them.
You will want to do all 3. One of the big draws about doing these dungeons outside of the loot and completing the quest is for you get a skill point on your first completion. So that's something you don't want to miss.
Very cool. That's a good reason to at least get people in there one time.
So this group seems really solid. None of them are doing anything crazy. They know how to dodge. So we win. Yay.
Well done.
Let's see if we got anything. Nope. We struck out that time.
So in some MMOs I've played, it starts to, I don't know if devolve is the right word, but it starts to move pretty quickly in the direction of a lot of people just playing the same dungeons over and over and over again. Do you think that this game has that quality? Do you think people who are really going to be like playing this game really hardcore, that's going to be the primary way to play, is to just kind of repeatedly do the dungeons that are available in your tier?
Well, the thing is, you know, at the end game they have what is called veteran dungeons.
Yep.
And I believe those give substantially better loot than these do. These sort of function, I think, right now in the game as single-serving quests.
Okay.
Like, I don't see a whole lot of incentive to do these more than once outside of the fun factor.
Yeah.
The rewards are not great, and the experience is kind of low compared to what you can get outside of these dungeons.
And what are some of those other things then that you would be doing if you're just kind of trying to level as fast as you can, but you're not necessarily going to just be doing these same dungeons again and again?
This is definitely not a game that I think benefits from person power leveling through it. There's a lot to do and a lot to see. And
that makes it more like an Elder Scrolls game, right?
It does. It absolutely does.
This is something that I am even struggling with a little bit with my own playthrough, because usually when I play an MMO, there's a part of me that's just like, okay, how do I get from this point on my XP bar to the end point of my XP bar as quickly as possible? And I'm finding that approach isn't especially rewarding in this game.
I would absolutely agree with that. I find myself spending a lot of time crafting, actually.
Yeah.
There's some really deep crafting in this game. It's simple, but at the same time, there's still lots to do.
Yeah.
So I spend a significant amount of time at the blacksmith anvil that I could be power leveling or whatever, like I do in another MMO, but I'm just not feeling the desire to do so here.
Yeah, and it has that cool kind of progression system. You talked a little bit about like the skill lines. But one of the other things that the game has going on is like this whole crazy thing about like morphing your abilities, right?
I just got a really great ability that I want. I'm not going to be able to equip this now and use it, but I want to get this later.
Okay.
That's nice to have. But yes, as you use abilities in this game, so much like Skyrim, you know, using an ability will get you more points in it.
Sure.
As you do that, you can eventually morph these moves to add different effects. So the game, like my number 1 here, it's a standard taunt, you know?
Right.
But as you get through, you'll have options to customize these abilities more toward your playstyle. Do you want to add damage or add... There's so many different things you can add as you move through the tree.
And just like in an Elder Scrolls game like Skyrim, as you're using them, they're getting better just along a kind of numerical scale, right? You're ranking them up, all that kind of good stuff.
And they give you a generous amount of skill points to play with, so you'll be able to... Oh boy.
Oh, he looks like trouble.
This is trouble. This is one of the bosses. This is a lot of the experience that I've had so far. This boss has an ability that will kill you if you don't roll out of it. So
okay,
we're gonna see.
Well, I'm gonna hope that you can roll out of the way.
You really have to
don't lose all your stamina.
Oh yeah, you got to keep a healthy amount. And I did not roll out of the way there. So that's
well, you survived.
I did.
Anyway, barely.
And I'll be able to heal myself here with R's, seeing if I survive another one of those. Oh, see, I totally made it that
You
time.
totally made it. You were cheated.
I was.
Yeah, this guy's rough.
This guy's hardy. He's a tough customer, and I don't have enough stamina to run away from this next one. This is... All right, since I am kind of hurt, I might want to switch to blocking here, but this just isn't the boss that it works against.
Okay.
So I'm going to buff my armor here. Okay, I got my R ability up, so that's great. That'll heal me and shield me. And give that to my team, too.
This is a pretty epic fight for a, you know, amounts to a low to mid-level dungeon.
Sure, I'd say this is a low to mid-level dungeon. It doesn't look like my team's damage output is as wonderful as They've been very solid though. So
yeah, at least they seem to know what they're doing.
They do.
Which, let me tell you, pickup groups.
I wish I wasn't the. It looks like they all get to stand back and fight too in this fight, which is extremely helpful.
Yeah.
Not having to deal with that AOE.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to try to run from this next one. I'm just going to try to block it.
Hold on.
It's just it doesn't seem feasible.
Oh, you're almost there.
We're getting really close.
Really, really close.
I haven't even had a pop of potion, so I guess I can't complain.
Well done. So
we got something out of that one. Now, we're not a healer, but hey, this is a really cool healing staff.
Yeah, totally. So is that something you'd hold on to, or do you give it out to your healer in the group, or...
I could do that.
It's kind of your choice.
If I was playing with friends, this is probably what that was what I would do. Yes.
Sure. So one of the other things that this game is really touting is its kind of battlefield PvP stuff, and I know you've started to kind of play around a little bit with that as well. What's it like? I've
dipped in a little bit, and you know I hate to refer to other games when we're talking about games, but it is extremely reminiscent of Dark Age of Camelot PvP.
Okay.
So it's alliance versus alliance. There's keeps. There's you raid those keeps, try to get the scrolls away from other people. It's fun stuff. I haven't had a whole lot of spent a whole lot of time in it, but because I've been doing Dungeons and PvE. But
yeah, sure. I mean, in our previous conversations about it, it sounded like it's something that's probably going to take a little while to just get familiar with.
It does look pretty robust and fun, and will serve as the end game for a lot of players who are interested solely in PvP.
Right. But to be fair, I think there's a significant audience of people who might be seeing the name Elder Scrolls that their interest in this game has nothing to do with PvP.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to be really curious to see how the game speaks to those players. Just trying to tell them that, like, hey, we made a really great PvP system. You should try it. Isn't going to fly for a lot of people.
You're absolutely right. I mean, that's one of the tough things about when you go into an MMO, evaluating it, on day one. There's no way you can give any accurate analysis of what people are going to be doing a few weeks from now or a month from now.
Right.
As you can see, these guys are just running all over the place, and
yeah, they don't really
say,
aggro straight to you or anything.
You're a terrible tank. Why aren't you picking all these up? Well, I'll tell you why. Even if you try to pick them all up, you will die instantly. There's just too much damage coming on one person.
Yeah.
Even fully spec'd.
So you just try to get as much of it as you can?
You try to take out the crucial, the ones that'll do the most damage to your team.
Sure. Very cool.
And at the same time, my build is designed to buff them with shields and additional armor as we fight, so to give them a little extra breathing room.
So you and I are both only about 4 or 5 days into playing this. What for you are the big lingering questions? Obviously, it's hard to make any sort of final calls about Elder Scrolls Online with only those 4 or 5 days under your belt. But what are the things you still need to know before you decide if this is something that you might enjoy for the long haul?
The big question, as I know we already touched on it a little bit, is the end game.
Yep.
I mean, what is there to do when I hit level 50? Maybe I do some veteran dungeons, get some veteran gear. What do I do with it? Are there raids? How does that work out? How does it all play out in the end?
Yeah.
And it's you can never fill content needs for the end game player, but how you structure things is really important.
Sure. For me, I would say it's my big lingering question is I play a lot of MMOs and I like to play with friends, but I'm also doing a lot of content where I'm playing solo, and I'm interested to see how the solo content continues to develop as I keep playing through my character. I have some concerns about like what I was talking about earlier, the idea that I'm going to go into an area and people are going to just be sort of camping the area, and I'm never going to actually get into any real fights, and I just complete the quest by running to one place and picking up an object and running back to the quest giver, and I don't know, that's not always the most fun.
I completely agree, but there's only so much you can do for a solo player at high levels in these games.
Fair enough.
It's just, I'm in complete agreement there, and again, it is going to be about what is the long term.
Yeah,
it always is.
Definitely. But I will say this for Elder Scrolls Online: it is a pretty game.
It is fantastic looking,
and you probably can't tell with us. People who are listening and watching this probably can't tell with us talking over it, but there's really great sound work out in the areas where there is music that's really great. There's a really great score going on in this game. So the presentation values, I think, are really high. And,
it's easily one of the best looking MMOs I've ever played.
Yeah.
It's truly, it's breathtaking in a lot of situations. The outdoor worlds and interior environments all look beautiful.
Well, and even in the early levels, you're wandering around and you're going to places and it's like, oh, I'm getting to go back to Morrowind, and we haven't gotten to see these places.
Getting to see all the locations from the games in one big, it's nice.
It's really exciting. I mean, say what you will for liking or not liking licenses, but if you have a fondness for a world like I think a lot of us do for Tamriel, there's something that's really fun about getting to revisit these places, and of course, this is a whole different like time period for. To get to kind of explore for those of us who are.
So this is the. I didn't mean to interrupt you. This is the final boss.
Go ahead.
The final boss of the dungeon.
Who is this guy?
This is there's a story here, but it escapes me at the moment.
Okay.
Evil necromancer person. This one is most challenging for the tank since I continually have to move from this really fast PB AoE, which will do.
Okay.
And it's also challenging for my companions who are going to have to deal with the skeleton heads. That's not the fast-moving circle.
Right.
As I old man walk away from it. That's the faster one.
Oh, that's tricky.
And it can be really hard to see with all the other stuff going on. And
there's a lot of stuff going on right now.
My team has to deal with those skeletons because I cannot reliably pick them up while continuing to handle what's going on here. Yeah, you don't want to get hit by that.
That's a bad idea, huh?
It's a real bad idea. But as you can see, even while I'm running away, I can buff my team. Yeah. I've been using both my stam and my magic like continually here.
Yeah, everybody else on the team looking up at health bars seems to be doing pretty okay.
That's the thing. That's the weird thing about grouping in this game is if you go in there and you do your job.
Barry's in trouble. You lost one.
We did. This is not good.
Not good.
I hope that wasn't the healer. It wasn't the healer.
It wasn't the healer.
I still have potions to fall back on. She's at what, half-ish?
Yeah, I think she's below half. She's probably at a third.
I just can't get hit.
I think you still got a shot at this.
I don't know. Those skeletons can get add up real fast, and it looks like they might be on the healer.
People are going to start getting nervous here pretty quick.
I'm doing all I can. The shields are up.
I know.
They don't last long. They do explode, though. I have mine templated to explode upon.
It's going to be close.
Yeah, it is. I think my teammates just got hit by that blast.
Oh, man. 2 down.
Oh, no. This is not good. I don't have the DPS output.
Oh, someone...
Man.
There's still one.
It's just me.
Yeah. It's going to be an epic battle for the ages here.
Oh, that was it.
Well, there you go, guys. That's our look at Elder Scrolls Online. An epic battle to end things off that didn't go quite the way that the party hoped it would. But that looks like a pretty cool dungeon.
It is.
And it makes me excited to dig into that stuff. I haven't started doing any of the dungeon content yet, so this looks like something that I can look forward to. For everybody out there, thanks for watching. Elder Scrolls Online is out on PC and I think Mac as well.
That's correct.
Right now, early access was the last few days, but I think today was the first day that it was fully open, and it's coming out to next-gen consoles, I believe, in June. So we have a little bit of wait for people who don't have a nice gaming PC. But Verdict's still out, but there's a lot of things, I think, here that hold some promise.
Absolutely, I'd agree.
Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.